That's really annoying. So, guarantees that election ballots are fairly reflected choice. The new election system depends on voters verify the printed text. So it's all bullshit. That's what we found out. Barcode matched the vote. They're not certain about this. So it basically shows a bunch of bullshit. But does it show the big Domion Kraken? Retention and preservation of records and papers by officers of the election deposit with custodian penalty for violation. Every officer of election shall retain and preserve for a period of 22 months from the date of any general specific primary election of which candidate for the office of president, vice president, blah 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 blah. All records and papers which come into his possession relating to any, which come into his possession, so they'll just claim it didn't come into their possession. Rapid introduction of new technologies. So at this point, you can already see how these slick people like Comey and that we have seen, right? They will all say, yeah, we do see that there are some problems in the system and we should put a study group in and make recommendations to improve the system, but Biden won. Fuck you. That's what they will say, right? Because what we haven't done, we have seen that the system is bad, it's bullshit, it's vulnerable. But what we're still missing is somebody who says, and it was abused. In other cases, they showed abuse. There's enough abuse that they have already shown. But for our Dominion question now, it is not clear. It is a bullshit system, that's for sure. And it's a fraud on the people that millions of dollars were paid for this bullshit. Yeah, that's for sure. But what else is new? Huh? A Penn Wharton study concluded that the voters. So that's a study. That's not really specific evidence. It's an evidence of the defects of features of Dominion Suite as described above. The Dominion democracy was denied certification. Yeah, that's interesting information, but it's not a specific allegation. Plaintiffs have since learned that the glitches that have a uniform effect of taking votes from Trump and shifting to Biden have been widely reported in the press and confirmed by the analysis of independent experts. But we still need to know that they have been introduced programmatically. So we're still not clear. This is still too vague. Plaintiffs can show through expert and fact witness that Dominion Smartmatic systems have massive end-user vulnerabilities. 2. Full admin privileges, rigging. Yes, that's. I think there is no doubt. They have these vulnerabilities, but that's not enough to show that it was actually abused. That's our problem. Affiant witness names redacted for security reasons. In his sworn testimony explained he was selected for the National Security Guard detail on the President of Venezuela and that he witnessed the creation of Smartmatic for the purpose of... Yeah, that is... the direct connection is missing. And I wish I could have helped them. I mean, I would give a month. But I'm not an expert. But I have written things and I have written patents and I still on. There, I'm reconnected. So again, you have this massive opportunity for purely discretionary improper adjudication. So yes, there is a vulnerability, and yes, the Chavez and Smartmatic was designed, but the connection is not being shown, and that's missing, and that's gonna be dinged, and we're gonna be dinged on that one. and putting these two together is politically interesting, but I don't think that will convince the court. And also, in cross-examination, the defendant can defend themselves, right? And it's relatively easy to take this apart just on technicality, because these two items are not directly related. But let's continue. Smartmatic incorporators and inventors have background evidencing their foreign connections, including Venezuela, Serbia, and specifically identified inventor. The presence of Smartmatic in the United States, owned by foreign nationals, Domion, a Canadian company with officials as the Office of General Counsel in Germany, would have to be approved by... what is Germany? What's the connection to Germany? A Canadian company with its office, such as the Office of General Counsel in Germany, would have to be approved by CIFAS, was created by the Exxon Florio Amendment. Right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's good. I'm glad that they find something to hang this on, to just say that's illegal. That's it. We have to remember that even the mafia is not being thrown in prison by proving every one of their schemes and things that they do, and we know they do them. But you get these people imprisoned on something, on one thing, on a couple of things, but you don't get them for the entire evil scheme that they're playing. So we shouldn't expect this to happen here. We shouldn't expect that the entire evil scheme is going to be detected, and Soros in the back, in everything that they were trying to do and willfully do. That's not how it works. That's not how you get these people held to account. You get them on a substantial crime, on a substantial violation, which might, however, be minor in the comparison to the overall evil scheme that they are running. And in that sense, I don't have a problem with them pointing out the links to Germany and so forth, because they can tie it to a specific violation of the U.S. code, or whatever that is, amended by Foreign Investment National Security Act. So yeah, so they can connect it to law, and that's all we need, right? So this is important for those people who think that, oh, it's a big conspiracy theory, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we're pretty sure we're actually quite right with our theory about the big conspiracy, and it definitely is a conspiracy, and there's no doubt about this. But we don't have to prove to you all the little details. We just prove to you that significant, substantial violations exist, and that's how we bring you down. And then fuck you. That's how it goes. That's how it goes with the mafia. That's how it goes with all organized crime, just as this organized crime will go down on specific violations, and this is one. So we're good with that. Next, 106. The Congresswoman Caroline Maloney wrote October 6 to the Secretary of Treasury, objecting the approval because of its corrupt Venezuelan organization ownership and control. Now that is interesting. Okay, that's in 2006. That is when the Smartmatic Sequoia Dominion handover might not have happened yet. I don't know. Oh, it was 2004. No, it could be 2006. Yeah, it was 2011 when this handover was done. Okay. Our own government has long known the foreign interference. Okay, so here they will claim that this problem has been resolved by Smartmatic releasing its immediate financial interests in Dominion, or in Sequoia, we should say, which then was passed on, bought up by Dominion. Wall Street Journal did an investigative piece. That's not really evidence, huh? The Wall Street Journal in 2006 did an investigative piece and found that Smartmatic came to prominence in 2004 when its machines were used in an election to recall President Chavez, which Mr. Chavez won handily. Right? So now comes Bitstar. Well, let's continue. Venezuelan opposition said it was riddled with fraud. Smartmatic put together a consortium to conduct the recall elections, including a company called Bitstar Corp, in which Smartmatic owners had a large stake. For a time, the Venezuelan government had 28% stake in Bitstar in exchange for a loan. Bitstar paid off the loan in 2004, and Smartmatic bought the company the following year, but accusations of Chavez government control of Smartmatic never ended, especially since Smartmatic scrapped a simple corporate structure in which it was based in the US, which with the Venezuelan subsidiary, a far more complex arrangement. The company said it made the change for tax reasons, but critics, including rapper Carl, blah blah blah, TV journalist, blah, Lou Dobbs, pounded the company for alleged links to the Chavez regime. Since its purchase by Smartmatic, Sequoia sales have risen sharply to a projected 200 million. Mr. Corbucci testified through his sworn affidavit that he, born in Venezuela, is cousins with Antonio Mujica, and he had personal knowledge of the fact that Anthony Mujica incorporated Smartmatic in the US in 2000 with other family members in Venezuela listed as owners. Well, that's probably a matter of public record. You don't need Mujica for that. He also has personal knowledge that Anthony Mujica manipulated Smartmatic to ensure the election of Chavez. He also testified through his sworn affidavit that Antonio Mujica received tens of millions of dollars from the Venezuelan government to ensure Smartmatic technology would be implemented. Another affiant witness testified that in Venezuela she was in an official position related to elections and witnessed manipulation of petitions to prevent removal from President Chavez, and because she protested, she was summarily dismissed. Corroborating the testimony of our secret witness and our witness, Mrs. Corbucci, cousins of Anthony Mujica, who began Smartmatic, and this witness explains the vulnerabilities of the election voting system, Smartmatic, to such manipulations. Okay, so far we're only setting the stage, in which there is a certain alleged relationship and possibility, but it's not proof, unfortunately. This is not what we would call the Kraken evidence. Specific vulnerabilities of the systems in question that have been documented or reported include: barcodes can override the voter's vote. As one University of California, Berkeley study shows, in all three of these machines, including Domion voting system, the ballot marking printer is in the same paper path as the mechanism to deposit marked ballots into an attached ballot box. This opens up a very serious security vulnerability. The voting machine can make the paper ballot to add votes to spoil already cast votes after the last time the voter sees the paper, and then deposit the marked ballot into the ballot box without the possibility of detection. Alright, yeah, I can see this. There seems to be a sequence, like an assembly line, and so you have your marking device, and then you get your, you can see it, and then you give it into the system, and there is still a potential for there being added additional marks. Or they don't review it at all, so it's very weird. It is such so the design is just, I mean, I cannot get over this. This is just so embarrassing for us IT professionals, this stupid design that these idiots are creating there. God, they're such idiots. Voting machines, of course not idiots because they do it for a purpose, no? And they're not idiots because they managed to sell this bullshit to idiots who are in the government, who also aren't idiots because they get handily rewarded, right? So who is the idiot? The Biden voters, right? The voters who don't care about this corruption. Those are the idiots. Voting machines were able to be connected to the internet by way of laptops that were obviously internet accessible. If one laptop was connected to the internet, the entire precinct was compromised. Yeah. I wonder why they didn't bring this up in the 2016 election, right? I mean, they brought it up a little bit, but why didn't they dig down? Why didn't they say the Russians stole the election? I mean, because of course they didn't. Because of course that's all bullshit, and they knew that. But they could have, right? I mean, they could have used this to make that case, but they didn't. We discovered that at least some jurisdictions were not aware that their system were online. Yeah, okay, whatever. Congresswoman, that's 2006. Congresswoman 2006, Dominion got into trouble with several subsidiaries. It used over alleged cases of fraud. One subsidiary, Smartmatic, a company that has played a significant role in the US market over the last decade, according to the report published by UK. Smartmatic glitches alleged they impacted the 2010 and 2013 midterm elections in the Philippines, raising question of cheating and fraud. Yeah, I can now see how it works. It's you build a system that is complete. That is you can't even give this thing the name system. I mean, yeah, it is a system, but it's just built so poorly, so ridiculous. It's built so poorly that you can obviously do all sorts of shenanigans, and they do themselves. But I'm still missing that glorious algorithm that flips the votes. It's still all just bullshit. I mean, it's just exposing the loads of bullshit that was sold to the American people via its corrupt government purchase people. And I don't even want to say corrupt government purchase people because I mean, I've never seen a corrupt contract officer, and I've dealt with some. That's not how it works. It is the fiefdom bosses, not the purchasing people. It's the fiefdom bosses that county official, the election official. Yeah, little small fiefdom bosses who would never make it anywhere, who were just too dumb, who would never produce anything, who would never rise up politically, but these fiefdom officers have power over the elections, and that is a huge asset. So yeah, I can see that, how this works. Domion entered in 2009 contract with Smartmatic and provided Smartmatic with the PCOS machines. What's PCOS? Optical scanners that were used in the Philippine election, the biggest automated election run by a private company. The international community hailed the automation of the first election in the Philippines. I can see these idiots, these fucking idiots that believe in technology. They have no clue. They don't master technology the way I do, but they believe in it. Oh God, how I hate these people. I mean, I hate them. I don't hate them. I hate this attitude. The silver bullet attitude, this mentality, oh my God, I can't stand it. That's why I have to get out of this business. I mean, I have my small area where I'm pretty happy because I can do the right thing. I don't have to deal with committees. Oh my God. And I don't have to deal with the hip stuff. Oh man. The results transmission reached 90% of votes 4 hours after polls closed, and Philippines knew for the first time who would be the new president on election day. In keeping with local election law requirements, Smartmatic and Dominion were required to provide the source code of the voting machines prior to the election so that it could be independently verified. Not bad, no? But it's not even a source code here because there is no system. It's just all a pile of garbage. That's what it is. So there isn't even one source code that you could even inspect because it is a cobbled together. It's less like how the usual Microsoft bullshit works. It's like you cobble together a bunch of plugs of things. You cobble them together, like your image central and then this and that, and it's not one system at all. And so there is not one source code. And as we saw with this image central bullshit, where the scans are just in files, you can just delete them. There's no source code to review at all. It's not in the source code. In late December 2019, the Democrat senators Warren Klobuchar, okay, so they were against it. Senator Ron Wye said the findings in security of voting systems are yet another damning indictment of the profiteering of election vendors. Yeah, I agree with that. An analysis of Dominion software system by former U.S. military intelligence expert concludes that the system and software have been accessible and certainly compromised by rogue actors such as Iran in China by using the servers and employees connected with rogue actors. Yeah. Dominion neglectfully allowed foreign adversaries to access data and internationally provided access to their infrastructure in order to monitor and manipulate elections. Well, that is a pretty big claim. Dominion neglectfully allowed foreign adversaries to access data and intentionally provided access to their infrastructure in order to monitor and manipulate elections. That's Exhibit 7. That's a pretty big claim. I mean, I think this is the key. This is the biggest, but we would have to see the Exhibit 7. An expert witness in pending litigation in the United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta, blah, 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 specifically testified to the security vulnerabilities among other acute security vulnerabilities among other facts. What you want to show is that it was abused. The failure of Dominion software to meet the methods and process for national standards for managing voting system problems and should not be accepted. All right. There's evidence for remote access to remote troubleshooting, which presents a grave security implication. All right. So that sets up. In one Georgia county, there is reported that 3,300 votes were found on memory sticks, not loaded, plus Floyd County and other two that were unscanned. So these can be dismissed as mistakes. In the prior case against Dominion, further implicating the secrecy behind the software, Dr. Eric Kumar, Vice President of the Dominion voting system, testified that even he was not sure of what testing solutions were available to test problems and how that was done. I've got to be honest, we might be a little bit out of my bounds of understanding the rules and regulations. And in response to a question on testing for voting system problems in relation to issues identified in two countries, he explained that, Your Honor, I'm not sure of the complete test plan. Again, Pro, V, and V themselves determine what test plan is necessary based on the analysis of the code itself. The security risks outlined above: operating system risks, the failures of hardened the computer performing operations directly on the operating systems, lacks control of memory cards, lack of procedure and potential remote access, are extreme and destroy the credibility of tabulation and output. Alright, okay, so we could say that because the system is so insecure, it cannot be trusted in its tabulation. Rather than engaging in an open and transparent process, alright, yeah, we know they were just not wanting to talk. The House of Representatives, in an attempt, passed H.R. 2722 in an attempt to address the very risk identified by University in June 2019. This bill addresses. The bill established requirements for voting systems, including that system we used individual durable voter verified paper ballot 2 makes a voter marked ballot available for inspection and verification by the voter before the vote is cast, ensures that individuals with disabilities are given an equivalent opportunity to vote, be manufactured in the United States, and meet specific cybersecurity requirements. Yeah, I'm not happy with that either. I mean, I know what they were trying to do here, but this is not, I mean, point 115 is really not adding anything to our case. Now comes additional specific fraud. The GOP chairman issued the following statement: "Let me repeat, Fulton County election officials told the media and our observers that they were shutting down the tabulation center." Alright, so I think where we have actually left the Dominion War. Right. Lost or shifted? So we're back to the claims. And I think the claim number 5 was the one: widespread ballot fraud. Plaintiffs refer and incorporate by reference each of the prior paragraphs in this complaint, as though the same were repeated at length herein. Contrast the results of Georgia election with the standing, therefore pursuant glitches in the Dominion system that seem to have the uniform effect. Yeah. Well, alright, I'm tired. And I am finding, oops, this is not what I want to do. Let's go to Smartmatic. I still haven't found the algorithm that flipped the votes. That's the part that I still don't have. This would be the key thing, because that was fractional vote counts in raw data strongly indicate voting manipulation through ranked choice voting algorithm. So what we have here is manipulate election results, and that the number of illegal votes is nearly twice. Glitch was not an isolated error and may have affected other counties. This Michigan glitch was, I think, the 6,000 vote switch, yeah. Clerical error. Fractional vote count. Mr. Ramsland's analysis of the raw data, which provided votes counts rather than just vote share in decimal form, provide highly probative evidence that in his professional opinion demonstrates that Domion manipulated votes through the use of an additive or ranked choice voting algorithm. Here's the data, Michigan timestamp. Okay, here we have a problem. I think I have followed this data analysis, and let's see if that. The problem is we're operating on these shares of vote shares that are reported as percentages with really only one decimal digit after the percent. So this would be 53.4%, right? And this would be 44.0%, or 4.8%, I'm sorry. The problem is that this is not exact enough. So now that we see total votes change and Biden votes change, we cannot use these vote shares with the lack of precision and then reconcile them with Biden votes and Trump votes. I think there's a problem. I've done this before. I've done this, and you can obviously do it to see the big step up, right? You can do it to see this step because that's big. But if you want to show something systemic, vote switching, I don't think you can use this data. I think you have to actually use correct count data, not vote share data on with only 3 significant digits. I don't think you can do that. However, what is interesting is, what if we don't have correct counts? Mr. Ramsland describes how the RCB algorithm can be implemented and the significance of use of fractional vote counts with decimal places rather than whole numbers, in demonstrating that Domion did just that. So okay, so this might be what's really going on here is that what we should see reported is just simply complete votes. That should have been reported the whole entire time. We should never have had in our data the Trump share and the Biden share. We shouldn't have had this. We should have had complete numbers. Timestamp, votes, state, precinct, whatever. Complete numbers. Not these shares. And it might be that if these systems are actually spitting out these shares, that they can actually do this. They might actually be able to fiddle, tweak, if they report shares. For instance, blank ballots can be entered into the system and treated as write-ins. Then the operator can enter an allocation of the write-ins among candidates as he wishes. The final result then awards the winner based on the points the algorithm in the compute is not actual votes. The fact that we observed raw vote data that included decimal places suggests strongly that this was in fact done. Otherwise, votes would be solely represented as whole numbers. Below is an excerpt from Dominion's direct feed to news outlets showing actual calculated votes with decimal ID. Yeah, so that's the problem. The whole reporting stream, it's just crazy. It's just more shit. They build a shitty system, pay a lot of money for it, and then they can use it to manipulate. So I will conclude this now because it's late. And I will say that I don't see the Kraken as I wished I would see it. What I really learned now is that the systems are complete crap. I, as an IT professional, and I'm very proud of what I'm doing, and I've been working in government context, and I've been working in healthcare context, and I see stuff being done. I had a colleague that came up with a nice way of gathering medical data from paper. And I liked that system, and used the scanner to, there were barcodes involved and scanners, and the paper forms were printed based on the patient's situation. So it was a very smart, very, very nice system. But I do also remember how he put it together very sort of pragmatically by using whatever Microsoft components there were, and so it's just like it ends up being cobbled together. And for the purpose that he put it in, it worked. Now I would describe this as a prototype. It's always a prototype, because it never actually is put together into one real system. It's just cobbled together. But for the purpose that it was built in this particular healthcare setting, it was fine. When it comes to voting, where you have to have a chain of custody, where your numbers need to be held sacred, this is totally unacceptable that these systems even exist. They need to be all scrapped. They need to be all scrapped by order of we the people. Scrap it. Scrap it. We want ballots that are actually watermarked, that cannot be, that are being held in locked locations, that are being handed out only using a process of zealous voter identification and eligibility checks, as well as checks against double voting, national elections with national relevance need to have a national voter system. Period. The stupid NSA, FBI, they have all of that. They have databases about all of us. Whatever gun control bullshit they want to put in, they have a database about all of us. The Equifax and, lenders and insurance, car insurance people, they have databases about us. They get to have these things in order to make our lives hard, but we can't have that in order to secure that only eligible people vote for the future of this country and of any country and of the whole world for that matter. No way. They have to be paper ballots that have some counterfeit features, and there has to be well, maybe they don't have to have anti-counterfeit features, but the time the ballot needs to be traced from the identification step of the voter, handed to the voter, and the voter must not be leaving the eyes of the zealous adversarial observers that make sure that nobody gets to mess with the ballots. And also protect the sacred will of the individual voter by shielding them from any undue influence. This means all this mail ballot, forget it. We knew it was crap. We knew it was crap. We said it was crap. We had good arguments it was crap. This whole thing about the experts say that mail voting is safe is total bullshit. It was always bullshit. It cannot be. And these systems are just bullshit. It cannot be. Ballots have to be hand marked and with X's in big circles, and they have to be hand counted. And what we've seen here with some of these problems, they are actually very similar to the hanging chats and dimple chats of the 2000 election. Very similar, only that they don't use punch cards here anymore, but they use these filled ovals, and you have the exact same thing. You know, if you think about it, you have a piece of paper and there's an oval. You have to fill it in. And yeah, I've been doing many medical exams with this kind of system. And you may make a line between 2 points, or you may have to fill in an oval, whatever. And if you don't do it fully, or if there's a smudge on another one, right? Or you might just by accident just sting the pen on one of the ovals where the mark, where there is these things happen. And so you get into the same issues as they went with these dimpled chats and the hanging chats, right? Because they were talking about, well, what was the intention of the voter? And they had to do this review. They put these systems in place after the debacle of 2000 Florida. They put these optical scanners and stuff like this in place. And they were dumb idiots, IT silver bullet crunchers and fucking idiot consultants. You're like, oh, I can't stand these people that I had to live with when I was still working in committees and so forth. And they stand there and they say, oh, this is the great new thing, this is the great new thing, this is the great... They have no clue. They don't think. They don't think systemically. That in reality, they have just reproduced the dimpled and hanging chat problem. Because you still have to ask, what is the voter's intention? And so all these problems go away if we just use people. Small precincts, very small precincts, where you have only a few thousand voters, and you can close the voting at 6 p.m. and you do it on a Sunday so everybody can come. You close the vote at 6 p.m. and you can, in about 3-4 hours, you can do your counting. And you can do it in an adversary process, in a trust nobody process. There's no... Oh man, I can't stand these city employees, these officials, these ladies at the post office, and these idiots, these people who, when you have a problem, they don't help you. They just, and when they have power over you, they will abuse this power. Absolutely, they will abuse it. No, we don't want these people. We don't want city employees involved in the voting. It's a volunteer effort. It is only honorable people who discharge their sacred duty of that voting process. And they do it in an adversarial system where everybody is polite, nobody is doing electioneering on the day. They should all be in jail using Biden masks in the polling location. What the fuck? How can you possibly do this? And then you don't need all these crap machines. So yeah, so Dominion problems are dimple chat problems, with the additional problem that you now have a stupid, completely badly designed, cobbled together IT. It's not even a system, it's a cobweb of bits and pieces that give a lot of leeway to operators, and they don't even deserve to be called administrators. They're just operators. And the way they deal with the memory sticks, and they put these memory sticks in, and they drag and drop files from folders, and they get to delete files and folders, and it's just ridiculous. These things need to be numbered, they need to be traced, they need to be cross-checked, they need to be manifests that say, okay, here are X amounts, there was 2,000 things processed in the last hour, and here's the log, and these 2,000 things are here, and they have a checksum, and they have this, and this, and this. At least put a checksum on there, right? Just put a checksum on there, so you can't just replace one image with another. This is not rocket science. But these idiots get to sell these fucked up systems for billions of dollars, and they don't even have a fucking checksum on the total count of the ballots they have processed, so people can just go ahead and replace and just delete and do whatever they want. And so what we have now is, we know the systems are a complete mess. They need to be all thrown in the trash. They are open to manipulation right and left. Unfortunately, and we do have some cases where people have been found to have done these things, but unfortunately, I now, looking back at what I just read, there aren't enough individual reports of individual misdeeds that have happened. There are some. I won't say that there were none. I think there were some that really said you could actually do this, and people have done this. They have set the tolerance, the error detection tolerance for the filled circle in such a way that they got to review many more of the scans than they would otherwise have reviewed, and then they could delete them, and they actually did. So there is some. But overall, I just see a complete mess. I see a complete mess, and I see the ability. There is this reporting, the reporting on the numbers where they might be fudging because they report percentages of vote shares instead of individual votes. That's very concerning. So I will say the whole thing is a mess. It cannot be fixed. I can do it. I can build a system that's far superior than any of this shit here. But that's just me, and it would never be done. And I know, I have been on committees before. I know how this works. You put a committee in to make this better, and it's gonna be all fucking idiots that I had seen enough in my life. And they're going to be bootlickers and ass suckers of the government, and they'll know nothing. They don't know what they're talking about. They can't write a single program, and they will all sit there in these committees, and they will talk and talk and talk, and they'll become the snake oil salespeople. And no, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. The people have to take a simple system back. They have to throw out all the IT, the entire IT crap they have to throw out. And they have to take control over it again using a manual paper ballot system, and then phoning in, writing on paper, sending emails, phoning it, putting it on websites. I don't care. The results, right? The results they can disseminate in multiple ways. That's perfectly fine. Just send an SMS if you want, and let everybody send these, and let's figure it out as a human process. But you know what? I mean, screw these IT systems. I can build one. I can build a great one. I can build a secure one. And obviously, I'm not the perfect person. I would definitely ask cyber security hackers and to see if my hash coding and check some mechanism is sound enough. It's far superior than anything that these people have sold there, which is all crap that needs to be thrown away. It needs to be all thrown away, and they should eat their scanners. They should they should sleep on their scanners. They should just shove them up their asses. These scanners and ballot marking devices. Shove these ballot marking devices. Print a fucking ballot at the official government printing office or whatever it is. Put it on a watermark. Guard your ballots. Hand the ballot. Do not count ballots that have no chain of custody. Period. No problem. Do it in person. Count it in person. Inform the results in individual numbers of votes cast, received. Don't do anything with computers other than just picking it up from different human communications that are being sent around. So, but do I see the Kraken? Do I see the Kraken? I think the Kraken, in my view, is just this incredibly stupid design. That, to me, is the Kraken. And coming back to the mafia, I know the demo fuckers were just trying to fuck over the people. I know that's what they do. I know they want control. I know they want to subjugate us. That's what they do with the COVID bullshit. I know they want to be the tyrants. I know they want to disarm us. I know they want to extort us. I know this is not a conspiracy theory. That's what they tell us, right? We know all this. We know they want to do the Great Reset. We know they use propaganda to make everybody angry and hate Trump and loot and burn. And we know all this. We know where it goes. We know these people are criminals, right? We know it. Can we prove it? We don't have to. All we need is to get rid of them. That's all we need to do. And if we can hang it all on a parking ticket and get them out of our way on a parking ticket, I don't care whether I can prove that George Soros is using the Domion bullshit in order to steal America. You might never be able to prove this, right? It was just a mistake, but I don't care. We just need to do anything we can. Just get rid of this bullshit. Just hang it on any minor violation, whatever it is. Just get rid of it. Just get this election over, meaning get it decertified. It's obvious that Trump won in a landslide. Throw out all this bullshit, all these fake ballots, throw them all out.